All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this webinar about the new Tabular Editor command line interface. I'm here together with Peer, and we're looking forward to giving you a bit of an introduction to what a command line interface is, how this command line works, and how you can get started, and how exactly it can be valuable for you. So, Peer?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly, Kurt. And yeah, as Kurt said, my name is Per, and today we are definitely digging into the new Tabular Editor CLI. We have been anticipating the day today in order to kind of like show you what the CLI is and all the capabilities that it has. Just before we kick off, a few practicalities. We do have people sitting on the chat ready to answer any questions that you might have. So in the bottom right corner of the screen, there should be a small question button. You can use that to ask any questions you might have during the session. We will also save some of those questions for a Q&A at the end of today's webinar. So we will probably be able to answer a handful of those questions that you have. Also, if you have any technical issues, feel free to put them in the chat as well, because we have, as I said, we have people ready to assist you in if you experience any glitches or so on. Also, at the end of today's session, we will be sending you a link for the on-demand live stream of this webinar, so you can watch it on demand later on if you want to. And with that, Kurt, you already kind of like kicked off on the agenda, but I can also repeat some of these some of the steps that we are going to walk through. So first of all, just to set the scene, we will just spend 5 minutes talking about what a CLI is and why it even matters, because to many people, CLIs might be something from the good old days. Some nostalgia might pop up as well on the CLI. So we'll try to kind of like set the scene going forward, and then you, Kurt, will do a proper introduction of the CLI, its capabilities, command families, and so on and so forth. And then you will continue into talking about agentic workflows. So how do you use the CLI with AI agents? And you also showcase some of the possibilities with AI agents and the CLI. And then finally, I will take over and go on stage again, and we will look at how to integrate the CLI into your CI/CD workflows as well as way of working. And after that, we will wrap up. We of course do have some reference materials that we will share with you, links for the documentation and so on and so forth. And then that's also where we will do the Q&A. So first of all, what is a CLI and why do you even need to care about a CLI? So first of all, a CLI is a way to interact with software or interact with a system through a command line interface. So this is where you type in single line commands into a terminal, and then logic is kind of like executed based on those commands, and then you get a text output. So it's text in and text out. And command line interfaces are extremely valuable in regards to catering for AI agents, to catering for CI/CD workflows as well, due to the fact that they can run headlessly. So that you don't have to have a UI, you don't have to have a graphical user interface. So that is also where the CLI can take over and add value that to things that a graphical user interface cannot do. I already mentioned the possibilities in regards to AI, and Kurt will definitely go into details on that one in regards to how to utilize a CLI, in this case the Tabular Editor CLI, together with an agent, due to the fact that AI agents are extremely well designed in order to give a simple command input through text and then act on response also in text. And CLIs also enables you to chain commands. So what would in a UI, so what would in a graphical user interface involve multiple clicks and multiple dialogues popping up, that the same amount or same set of operations can actually be chained in a single command through a CLI. And a good way to explain this is actually the two kind of like screens you see on the right hand side. You're familiar with the Tabular Editor user interface. So a simple example could be that you want to create a new model and you want to add a calculator table to that model. Of course, before doing so, you would need to give the model a name, a compatibility level. After you added the table, you would need to save that back to disk. That can actually be done in a single command, as is also shown on right underneath the user interface. So a simple command where you initialize a new command, a new model. You add a table, and then right after that, you save that model back to disk in a single command. Also, due to the fact that we're talking about commands, CLIs enables us to do scriptable and reusable logic. So all the commands that you do, they can be chained or they can be individual. You can actually bundle those or consolidate those into a single script. That script can be run once, or you can actually run it, so you can reuse it in multiple places. The last part, I think I already covered that or talked about the fact that CLIs are lightweight and they are very often cross-platform. That is also something you'll see today in regards to the Tabular Editor CLI. We built the CLI as a cross-platform CLI, so it runs on both a Mac, a Linux, and a Windows machine. So you have different possibilities. That is especially valuable when it comes to CI/CD, where you sometimes run on a Linux distribution, so an Ubuntu machine. It might also be that you are running on a Windows hosted agent in Azure DevOps. So regardless of whether or not you're running on one or the other, you actually have both the possibilities. Now, also in regards to CLIs and why they matter. First of all, speed and precision. I talked about the fact that you are able to run these commands chained, so a single command can actually perform multiple operations at once. You also have the possibility to automate due to the fact that you can take all of your commands, put them in scripts, and run them regardless of you running on a local machine, so you as a human, if you run them headlessly in a CI/CD pipeline, or if you have an agent running them. And we will actually cover all of the three scenarios today, so all of the three different personas will be covered today. The automation and consistency is, of course, extremely valuable when it comes to CI/CD. And talking about consistency and reusability, the fact that you have a CLI that caters for all of the different personas, that enables you to have the same command, the identical same command that you run as a human is also the command that you run as an agent or in a CI/CD pipeline. So the CLI commands that an agent might generate can also run from a human perspective. And with that, Kurt, I think we set the scene for a CLI. So maybe we should introduce our version of the new Tabular Editor CLI.
Sure. So I'm just going to take over the screen here. And so thanks for that introduction. So indeed, the CLIs, it's a super exciting way to be able to interface with software. It's definitely not something new. But for a lot of us, especially people like coming from Power BI, like I know for me, the first time I used a CLI like seriously was maybe a year ago even. And for a lot of us, like we've been maybe introduced to CLIs from like these agents like Claude Code or GitHub Copilot CLI, these kind of things. And it's a really interesting way to be able to do a lot of things like you mentioned. So being able to automate, being able to work with agents, and being able to have consistency with the commands between them. So like you said, like it's cross-platform, and this on the right-hand side, what you can see here, this is an example, like it's running in a terminal. This is what a terminal looks like. It doesn't have to look this boring, but it can. And so you can run it in Windows, in Mac OS, and Linux. And at least for me personally, I know Pierre, you also do quite a bit of work on Mac. but I work a lot on Mac. So now being able to use it on my Mac to be able to, for example, like check the Vertipack Analyzer stats, or just to be able to give it Claude Code to do stuff is super awesome. To be able to have that cross-platform capability, right?
Exactly.
So there is also a interactive mode and a non-interactive mode. So if you're just like executing a command, like you're using TE test or you're using TE connect, TELS, this kind of thing, just these one-off commands, it's a non-interactive mode. And that's typically also what like a agent is using. And that's what you might also set up in a script or something like this. But there's also an interactive mode, and I'll show a demonstration of that, which is more visual, and you don't have to keep typing certain commands over and over again. So it's basically the same thing like when you would connect in Tabular Editor, except then you just type the commands instead of pushing a button, basically.
Yeah, and you could also say, Kurt, you could also say that the interactive mode is an easy entry level for people who are not familiar with CLIs. So it's a good way to kind of like kick off the CLI journey, due to the fact that it nudges you in the right direction. So the interactive mode provides pickers for doing connections and so on and so forth.
Yeah, definitely. Especially if you're doing something like you're working on Macs or you're working on Linux and you actually want to do some manual work yourself, it's just a lot easier to just throw up interactive mode and then just type a few commands and things, rather than having to type those commands individually through. So at least in my opinion. So
Exactly.
So this is indeed, so this isn't like the only command line interface we have. We have also one with Tabular Editor 2 that a lot of people are using for automating things in their semantic model, automating testing, CI/CD. There's a lot of people who do this, and this is an evolution of that CLI. So it has many, many, many more capabilities. Basically, if you look at Tabular Editor, everything you can do in Tabular Editor 3, except for the DAX debugger, you can have in this command line, which is a huge extension of the amount of functionality compared to the Tabular Editor 2 CLI, but it is also backwards compatible. So if you're using the Tabular Editor 2 CLI today in your pipelines, then you can start using the Tabular Editor 3 CLI relatively easily. So, and in terms of like what you can do specifically, so I said, okay, you have access to these capabilities in Tabular Editor itself. This is stuff like getting the Vertipack stats to be able to see how big your model is, which columns or tables are eating the most space, running the best practice analyzer. You can even automate that so that when you execute something that it will run the BPA and prevent a save. DAX queries, refresh, testing, even being able to run query traces and do performance analysis of DAX queries. That's something that's possible as well. So there's a lot of possibilities. And really, so like you said, Pierre, there's anyone can benefit from a CLI. You don't necessarily have to be the kind of person who just really wants to, like a really technical person who works in the terminal. So if you're a data modeler and you do want to work in the terminal, however, that's perfectly fine. Like we talked about, like the interactive mode, so you can do it manually. Like you said, with data ops and CI/CD, you can put it in a pipeline. And also being able to give it to an agent is a particularly interesting case. And what's important, and I'll come back to this later, what's important to say is that it's not like you would only use the CLI and you wouldn't use an MCP server or something like this, but you can actually combine these tools to take the strengths of them, much like how when you're working with Power BI, you're using DAX Studio, maybe for a specific case, you're using Tabular Editor, and maybe you're using other tools as well. So some families of commands that you have. So we have, and I'll just go through to annotate this to make this a little bit easier. So of course you have everything related to getting your model, loading, saving, exporting, creating a model within it, all that stuff. So you can of course edit the model, adding, removing things, properties, and so on. Being able to inspect and search things to do a diff to be able to see the difference between two models. Similar to what you would do with like ALM Toolkit, for example, looking at dependency analysis, as well as being able to, of course, analyze the model. This is for optimization use cases like Vertipack analysis, the BPA, being able to validate the model, which is particularly useful if the TIMDL is being mutated in any way. and executing both DAX queries as well as C# scripts, and even being able to reuse macros. So similar to the macros that you would save in Tabular Editor itself. Deployment and refresh of actually publishing the model into a workspace and then refreshing it, or refreshing a specific table or partition. Testing, and this is, I think, Pierre, like definitely, I know something you're super excited about, and I think you're also giving a demonstration of this. But really,
yeah, I will. Exactly, I
Go ahead.
will actually show that during the kind of like the CI/CD section. That is definitely one of my favorite parts. There are multiple favorite parts
Yeah.
of mine in the CLI, but it definitely in regards to testing, yes.
Yeah. And being able, of course, to connect to models locally in a workspace and so on, as well as interactive mode and the things that we already talked about. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of interesting stuff. So how do you get started? So let's say you want to try out the Tabular Editor CLI. What do? Well, you download it from tabulareditor.com, and you download the version appropriate to the operating system that you have, and you install it by basically just taking that file that you get. You have to add it to your path and then verifying that it works. So with that, I'll already kick into some demonstrations to show you actually what that looks like. So as you can see here, so you just got to go to tabulareditor.com/download Tabular Editor CLI. You can then click download here. And after you fill in the form, because this is in a limited preview, then you can actually download the version that is appropriate for your operating system. So I am working right now on a Windows virtual machine in Mac, so I could download either if I want to. Since I'm in Windows, I would download the Windows version, of course. And then once I have it downloaded, you don't just double click it like an executable that you would have for downloading a lot of other programs. Like if you download Tabular Editor 3, you double click it and it has an installer. How it actually works is you have to take that command line, which is, you know, the binary, the actual thing that you have to execute, and you have to add that to your path. So in our documentation, we describe how to do this. So you just have to run this script. In the future, this will be easier, but just for now, this is how that works. Of course, if this is something that is, you know, you don't know how to do, or this seems complicated, then you, of course, can just, you know, fire up one of your AI agents and just say, hey, I downloaded it. Here's the path. Can you add it to my path? And it will do it in just, you know, a few 30 seconds or something like this. And you'll know that it worked because once you have the once you have it installed, once you have it in your path, then you're able to actually call it. So the first thing that you can do is like run te:\help, and that will show you the commands that are available. So you can see that these are all the commands that you can do. So this is a pretty good starting point. If you have something you want to do, like you want to implement incremental refresh, or you want to format either DAX or even Power Query, something that you can do, then you can basically just try out these commands. And for example, if that's something you want to do, like you want to format, you don't know how that would work, then you just type the command and type help, and then it works like this. So as you can see, basically how it works is you're typing in the commands, and then when you press enter, then it's executing those commands in order to do something. Now we haven't actually executed anything yet. We're just, you know, popping up the help here. But what I'll actually do is I'll just give another brief explanation so that it's all clear for everybody on what this is, how it works. So normally when you're working in Tabular Editor 3, right? So you have a model open, you can connect to it, you can view the properties, you're in a user interface. And when you click something like, you know, collect stats, or you're going to add something, remove something, or run a query, you're using the user interface to do that. But then, of course, behind the scenes, there's code that's being executed and all this stuff. So I know for some of you are already very experienced with command lines, this seems very, very basic, but I'm just trying to make sure everybody has a common understanding. So if, for example, I was to collect the Vertipax statistics, it's obviously doing something behind the scenes. It's executing code to be able to do that. But let's say you wanted to automate that. You wanted to be able to get those Vertipax statistics regularly, and you want to do something with it. Like depending on if the size is so big or whatever, that you want to be able to execute a C# script, or you want to do something else, run some kind of specific refresh, then you would need some way of doing that. And you can't automate that in the user interface, because then you have to actually automate, of course, clicking the buttons. And this is also not something that works well with AI either. So for that reason, then we have the command line. So I'll just go over here and I'll open up the Power BI model. So let's say if you were to get started, like we have a model open in Power BI Desktop, how do I connect to that model? So I could, of course, go connect and then go help. And then if I enter that, it'll give me the parameters that I have to provide. But I can also just say connect local space parts, and it's automatically going to detect that I have something open. I'm in Windows, I have Power BI Desktop open. Obviously in Mac and Linux, this does not work. But then now I'm connected to the model. So similar to how you would open a model in Tabular Editor in this case. Now, what do I do? What could I do? Well, I could run ls or list, and I could actually see what is in that model, for example. And it will show like a summary of all the tables, how many columns there are, and all this stuff. But you can also do something that is more valuable. For example, running more specific commands. Like let's say you want to run the Vertipack analyzer. You just want the information about the columns. You want to know what are the 10 biggest columns. And I only want the name, row, size, and give me a bar and the percentage of size relative to my total model. So I run this command, and I can see in the terminal, I'm getting this nicely formatted output that is giving me these summary statistics about my model, just like I would from the Vertipack analyzer in Tabular Editor 3. And I can see, of course, which column is the biggest, and I can actually act on that information. So again, this is non-interactive mode. We're executing one command at a time, and each time we're able to do things with those. But I'm going to type clear, which will clear up the terminal. But I could also do interactive, and if I type TE interactive, then it starts interactive mode. So once I'm in interactive mode, it's showing me what model I'm connected to. It's a local model, and I no longer have to type TE for everything. But I can just type, for example, like right away, Vertipack, and then columns. And I'll just leave it like that. And it's going to do the same analysis. And it's all squished here because, of course, first of all, I'm using the default terminal. And second, I'm not limiting it to the top 10 or whatever. So, and it's also showing me all these different columns.
And actually, Kurt, jumping back, Kurt, sorry for me interrupting. Jumping back to when you did the connection to the semantic model, so when you did the connection to the semantic model that is currently hosted in Power BI Desktop, inside interactive mode, you could simply just use the command connect without any arguments. You will actually be kind of like nudged, or you will be guided through that connection. So it will initially, as Kurt shows, it will just say, okay, should I clear the active connection? Should I connect to a local file, a remote server, or the Power BI Desktop? So also worth mentioning that connecting is also something you would do if you work on an offline semantic model, so something located on disk. So you are only working on the metadata, so the model.bim or the Timble files, or save to folder serialization mode.
No, yeah, definitely. And this is really handy too, because even as you see it here, like, even though we're in a terminal and we're still, again, in the default like Windows terminal or whatever, it still looks quite nice, in my opinion. And this is one of the things. This is one of the things that kind of like drew me to command lines, is this idea of the terminal user interface, or the TUI, which to me is quite appealing. The simplicity of it, but I don't know. That's me.
Exactly.
Yeah. So cool. So that's some basic stuff, right? And if you want to exit interactive mode, you press exit. Of course, there's a lot that you can do, but let's show some more sophisticated things. I think you of course can make changes to your model and so on and so forth. But let's talk about some common scenarios. So if I go here, I'm actually going to open. I have a report open. So let's say, for instance, that I want to rename something in my semantic model, or I want to move the measures around. Like, this is something that I can do in just a single command, right? So I just have a command here where I can, in the command, I can connect to a workspace called Semantic Model Evals to the Data Goblins datasets. And then with a second command, so I'm chaining these two commands together, I can move, which is just going to rename the measure. It's currently a V2 measure, and it's going to get rid of that V2, basically. So, but as we all know, if you do this, if I execute this command, and this will take some time because I forgot to turn the model into large storage mode, so XMLA writes take a little bit longer. So then if you're executing this, then it will potentially break the report because the report needs those names to remain consistent. So after this finishes, like I said, it'll take a little longer because it doesn't have large storage mode. So that's something you should enable, makes the XMLA writes go faster. So once that change is then done, a bunch of the visuals will break. So this is a very common thing that a lot of people deal with. And one of the interesting things about the command line is that you can actually combine commands together. So you can actually combine it with other command lines from Microsoft, like the Fabric command line, or from the community, like the PBIR command line, which is for reports. So then in this case, we have made the change. So it's renamed the measure. And if I were to refresh this report now, so then, you know, it will show that it's not able to query those things anymore. Oh, some other typical issue. Authentication error, unfortunately. Oh well, closing it seems to solve the problem. But as you can see, the field is broken. But what you could actually do is you could combine this with another command, for example, like you could chain it to another command line even, so that in a single step, you could not only rename in your semantic model, but also in the downstream items. Like in this case, in the report, but you could also use the Fabric command line to be able to do this then in the to do this in other things like a data app or even a notebook that might be consuming the semantic model and so on. So being able to chain these things together is extremely valuable. So if I were to execute this command, it's now going to validate. And after it makes those changes, then it's actually going to refresh the page in Power BI Desktop, and we can see that the visuals are now no longer broken. So this is something that's interesting not only for you to do manually because it's more faster than fixing it, you know, yourself, but also with an agent, and of course also in a CI/CD pipeline. The last thing that I'll point out as well is like an optimization case. Like you could, for example, like pull out a DAX query from the report. So in this case, again, it's using another command line, the PBR command line, to pull out the DAX query from a visual that is very slow. And we want to troubleshoot this DAX query. We can do that into the command line. So we can actually run another command, which is just going to chain these two things together. So we immediately feed that query without opening the performance analyzer. We immediately feed that query into the Tabular Editor command line in order to run a performance trace. And as we can see here, it's even going to syntax highlight and format that query so we can see it. And then it's going to execute the benchmarking just like you would in DAX Studio. And this is a really terrible measure that takes like 70 seconds, so I'm not going to put us through that. But that is especially interesting, of course, in the context of AI, right? Because then you can give that to your agent and you can say, hey, I got a slow measure. I want you to keep executing this using the Tabular Editor command line and keep measuring it and see how you can get an improvement. And of course, it's not very efficient for you to just provide those commands manually, but you have to provide it some special context for it to work better with the command line. So, but I'll jump into that in a second. So that's a brief overview of some of the things you can do with the command line. I'll pause there, Pierre, if
no, I just have a few kind of like additions to what you just said, Kurt. So one of the things we talked about also in regards to the kind of like the general purpose of a CLI, the fact that you can chain things together. Also, as you showed, Kurt, where you chain the Tabular Editor CLI together with another CLI. you're actually also able to take the output of one of those CLI commands and use that as input in another CLI command, so a following CLI command as well. You showed the renaming of stuff. I think it's also worth mentioning that is also something that we in the Tabular Editor team are really kind of like happy about, and also one of our favorite features of the Tabular Editor CLI, but also of the Tabular Editor 3 desktop application, is the formula fix-up. So if you have a measure that relies on another measure that relies on a third measure, if you change a measure, for example, if you change a sales measure and that sales measure is used by sales V2 or used by sales ratio, other measures downstream, those measures are kind of like those changes are cascading through, and using the formula fix-up that we have in Tabular Editor through the Tom Explorer will actually make sure that renaming is applied all over the semantic model, so that the semantic model does not break just by a single rename of a measure that is used in multiple places.
And another one is the undo, right? Because I think you can also in interactive mode revert changes as well. So when you're working in interactive mode, you can just do undo. So by just hitting revert.
It's the same thing as you have in the Tabular Editor desktop UI. So if you make changes, you will see that a small icon popping up that you do have unsaved changes. If you are working in interactive mode, we keep a state of your semantic model. And if you add measures, rename measures, do something, those changes will not be persisted until you execute the save command. So inside interactive mode, there is just a simple save command. And if you kind of like, if you regret whatever you have been doing the past few minutes, you can always do a revert and it will jump back to the latest save point. All of these things are something you can configure within the CLI. So you are able to put in a configuration where it will automatically save every command that you do in interactive mode. So you do not have to run a save, but it's kind of like a convenient way of building up your semantic model, making changes, and then having the possibility to actually do an undo. So really powerful as well.
So we're basically like just scratching the surface, because we only talked about like a few specific examples, a few specific use cases, and there's of course the non-interactive and interactive mode. There's a lot to explore, right? So
definitely.
And I think it's definitely worth just kind of going through and seeing which of these commands are useful. But I think it's also interesting to just give it to an AI and just say, you know, how could we best use this? How could we apply this? Or if you have a specific problem or question, that you use the CLI to help address that, for instance. So I think with that, it's a good point to kind of talk about using the CLI with AI agents. So I gave the example at the end. It's a quite sophisticated example, but where you can basically set an agent off in a loop to be able to optimize DAX using the Tabular Editor CLI. That is one use case, but there are, of course, many, many, many. But first, starting off, of course, what is an agent? What is agentic development? But this is basically when you have an LLM that's being able to use tools to interact with its environment. So you are interacting with something like Claude, for example, Claude Code or GitHub Copilot, like we saw, and it can use tools to interact with your semantic model, and then it can see the response and it can proceed in a loop. And that's basically in a nutshell what agentic development is. And it's not limited to semantic models, but it's something that can happen end to end in Fabric, of course, and in Power BI. So you can already today develop end to end with agents. So you can, of course, do this in conjunction with Power BI Desktop and Tabular Editor, but there are people who are starting to do this primarily from their AI application or their terminal. And of course, hopefully you're doing source control, because especially when you're making changes with AI, that's very important. But this is something you can really do from the data layer and the ETL to the semantic model to reports and data apps like the consumption layer. So there's all kinds of different ways to do this. And if you were to think about, okay, what do I need to get started with agentic development? What are the ingredients to bake this agentic cake? There are basically 4 different things that you need to think about. There's, of course, the models and the different families of models that do different things and work in different ways. There's context, like skills, docs, memory, metadata. Metadata, for example, being your semantic model metadata. Your prompting from the human, prompting from other AIs, also potentially working in a loop. And of course, tools. And that's where the CLI comes in handy. Is the CLI is an example of a tool that you can give your agent to be able to work better with semantic models and to make better semantic models with all of the capabilities that Tabular Editor provides. So if an agent wants to change a semantic model, it can, of course, change the Timdal metadata. It can use an MCP server, or it can use command line tools, or it can even, execute scripts and code raw. And you can, of course, also use built-in assistance and integration like the AI assistant in Tabular Editor, which executes C# scripts, or even some of the capabilities in Copilot for some things like adding, suggesting descriptions and stuff like that. But we're talking about the command line here. So there are some specific strengths of an agent with a command line. Like, why would you do this approach? One of the ones that are mentioned quite a lot is that low cost. It's relatively token lean compared to alternatives, at least what's been measured in the past, and quite robust, especially because you get the same commands. So it's the same tool for humans, agents, and pipelines. I do need to mention, though, that cost is not, it's not like a huge difference like it was in the past, because a lot of agents discover their tools dynamically now. They don't just like see all of the tools available all at once. It's also more flexible, like we talked about, being able to combine commands together, to chain commands together. This isn't something that can be done with alternative approaches, but it's something that you can do in a command line, like chaining them, multiple commands from the Tabular Editor CLI, or commands with other CLIs, like the examples we gave. So we gave these manual examples, but an agent could literally do the same thing, right? The other thing is it's just a much simpler setup. So if you have it installed on the machine, if it's available, then the agent can use it. You just have to tell them that they have to use it, of course. And the other thing is that it's kind of necessary in a lot of ways. So if you want to do testing, you want to do automated testing and CI/CD, like we talked about, like you're going to show, it's kind of something that's essential, because even if you're using like the MCP, you need to provide feedback to the agent to be successful. But there are, of course, some caveats as well. You need to provide some specific documentation to get the best results. And it's not necessarily agent native. So if the command line is new and the agent, isn't very familiar with it, then it might not perform as well as other approaches. But that's kind of where that documentation comes into play. So what this actually looks like, if you kind of zoom out and look at it from 100,000 feet, you could, like we were showing, use a AI application or a terminal. Like you could use Claude Code and Claude Desktop, or GitHub Copilot and VS Code. You could also just use a terminal, like I was showing, and you can just have the agent using these different tools to be able to make changes to the model, and then to be able to put those into Fabric, to be able to do automated testing that the agent actually gets feedback from. So to get some kind of like a feedback loop, but also to be able to, for example, with the best practice analyzer, get feedback immediately. Like when it tries to make a save or a change, it could refuse the change depending on the BPA rules that you set. So it gives you a way to enforce certain rules and best practices in your model. So this is kind of like a very brief overview of what that looks like, more or less. All right. So what agents do, basically anything that you can do, right? So authoring and auditing the model, summarizing it, optimizing or managing it, or even testing and deploying it, running a test suite, or being able to solve specific optimization problems. It's just important that you remain in the loop and that you are actually aware of the changes that the AI is making to the model, so that you're the one who is having the specific design intent and you know what the model actually looks like. You don't just leave that up to the agent. So I think with that, I'll give some demonstrations of what that looks like. Do you have anything to add to that, Peer?
No, I think it's good.
All right. So what we have right now is, and if I switch over here, I'm going to clean up the bottom part. What we're looking at right now is we're looking at a terminal in my Mac. So we've right now switched over from Windows to my MacBook Pro, and I have Claude Code open in this terminal. So if you've never used Claude Code before, when you're in the terminal, when you open a terminal, you just type Claude, and then it opens up this interface. And this is basically the same as all the different interfaces that you have when you're working with AI. You just chat with it, basically. So if you've never used Claude Code before, it's the same interface that you see over and over and over. So how do you use the Tabular Editor command line? Well, you just provide instructions to the agent and you just tell it to use it, for instance. So I could say to it, use the TE CLI to connect to the Data Goblins dataset. And then it can actually proceed, and based off of the context that I've given it. So in this case, obviously, I'm running a demo, so I've provided it some specific instructions telling it that it has this command line available, but you can also provide it, specific skills and things like this. Then it can execute those commands just like you would to be able to do things like connecting to it. So in this case, we see I've told it to report the commands that it provided, and it executed a command now to be able to, in workspace mode, to be able to actually connect. So it's connected simultaneously to the metadata as well as to the remote model. And what you can do from here is you can provide it a skill. Like, for example, we have a skill that we've provided called TE CLI. And if you want to use this skill, then you just have to add it from the marketplace. So if you go to GitHub and you look at the Tabular Editor CLI, I'll see if I can do that quickly.
Yeah, for those of you who also follow us on LinkedIn, you would probably have seen that a few hours ago we also posted information about the new skill and how to utilize that. And as Kurt is showing right now, you actually find it on the CLI GitHub page.
Yeah. So you just go to Tabular Editor, the GitHub organization, and then there is a repository CLI. And then from here, you'll be able to find the skill that's available and other issues that you can provide. And then it tells you what the commands that you have to use in order to get that particular skill to be able to use it. So, but what is very interesting is if you actually combine this with other skills that you've provided, like, for example, to summarize the semantic model and provide me some useful information. And these skills are just, specialized documents and potentially scripts that tell it what you want when you're summarizing a semantic model, as well as what kind of gotchas it would want to look out for. And then it can just use the CLI to be able to get this information. So we can see, for example, it's using the Vertipack analyzer to analyze the size of the model, and it's going to execute some C# scripts to be able to do a few other things. So, and of course it could make mistakes. And then the good thing about it is that it can execute those help commands just like you would to be able to follow up and to be able to see, for instance, like how does it use the CLI? And you can even instruct it to create documentation as it goes, to write learnings when it makes mistakes, or if it does a particularly useful or interesting command, to be able to document that for future use. And if it turns that into a script, then you can, of course, use it deterministically yourself without even using AI. You can just execute that script or incorporate it in some kind of a pipeline in order to get the result that you want. So definitely. I think it's almost done. Of course, lately, especially with some of the AIs, lately they take longer and longer since they want to work on these longer running tasks.
Yeah, but imagine also just using the CLI as kind of like to create a boilerplate or to create a POC or an MVP of a semantic model. You talk to a client, you talk to a business user. They have some different requirements. You create a design brief. You can just feed the design brief to Claude in this example, utilizing the skills so Claude knows exactly which commands does what. And then you can actually have AI create maybe 80% of the final solution within a few minutes.
Yeah, exactly. So we can see here it got a whole bunch of valuable information just by kind of browsing the model with the CLI. And it's even noting down some things that are apparently, according to its merits my attention. For example, like that one of the columns is particularly large, or that two of the columns are accounting for most of the size, or even the compatibility level that's outdated and what specific features I'm missing based off of the other compatibility levels. And this is all information that it's getting just using C# scripts and so on in Tabular Editor. And then it also used from the skill a Python script to be able to identify which reports are connected to it, which it just signals out here. So this is just a brief example of what kinds of things that you can do using AI with the Tabular Editor CLI.
Very nice. So maybe with respect for time, I should continue on kind of like the third personality or the third audience type, Kurt. So if you don't mind, I will grab the screen once again and then talk about how to integrate the CLI into your CI/CD pipeline. So we talked about the human aspect of things. So Kurt showed how to run the TE commands from a terminal. He showed how to utilize the interactive mode where you run into kind of like a native TE terminal. You showed the agentic way of working with the CLI, and now I will try to cover kind of like the third persona. So that is when you run commands of the CLI inside your CI/CD pipelines and your CI/CD workflows. And I do know that many of you probably already used the Tabular Editor 2 command line interface today. So, and I know that is kind of like widely used, and that is extremely powerful for running your best practice analysis, for running your deployment, running C# scripts, for changing connection strings, so on and so forth. I also do see some questions in regards to CI/CD on the chat. We'll try to cover them at the end in a few minutes time. So why even kind of like why does the CI/CD even matters for semantic models? Well, it does because the semantic model is kind of like the brain in your analytic platform. So if you don't have trustworthy data, if you don't secure the quality of your semantic models, making sure that you catch any errors before they go into production, that you gate so that you gate your solution. So if you have a developer that does not comply with your best practice rules and so on and so forth, those things are blocked before going into your stable code base. These are all things that matters in an enterprise setup, making sure that you can ship consistently and repeatedly with high quality. So that typical workflow of a CI/CD pipeline would be that you would develop something. It doesn't necessarily have to only be in regards to your semantic models. It could also be notebooks for doing your data ingestion and so on and so forth. We are covering only the semantic model part throughout the next couple of minutes. So you would do your changes in your development environment. You would, of course, need to validate those changes before they are moved into the stable code base. Once your changes have been merged into kind of like your collaboration branch, you want to deploy that, push that into a staging environment where your business users can test and validate and sign off before you promote that into production. That is kind of like the typical workflow. Once that is done, it repeats itself because there are constant changes, adding new models, adding new dimensions, facts, and so on and so forth. In regards to the CLI, Kurt already showed a few of the commands that is relevant in a CI/CD workflow. There's the validate that will validate kind of like the metadata and your TOM. in regards to figuring out whether or not you have broken relationships, you have measures pointing to columns that do no longer exist, and so on and so forth. So this is a way to gate that things do not go into your stable code before those changes or before those errors are fixed. You can run your BPA analysis to make sure that all developers comply with the rules that you have set up. What Kurt didn't mention, and I will, is that as we also do with the Tabular Editor 3 desktop application, we also provide built-in rules in the Tabular Editor CLI, similar to the ones available in the desktop application. You can, of course, opt out of those and then bring your own set of rules through a JSON file, the same way as you do today with the Tabular Editor desktop application. You have the deploy command, same command, so to speak, as you have in the Tabular Editor 2 CLI. So that enables you to deploy to a Power BI workspace, Fabric workspace, your Azure Analysis Services, or a local instance as well. We have added, and this is not something that is available in Tabular Editor 2 CLI, we have added a test suite. This enables you to run regression tests before you ship, and I will show that in a CI/CD pipeline later on. You can run queries, you can do refreshes, again, something that was not available in the open source version of the CLI. So that enables us to kind of like, after we deploy, we do refreshes, we can do incremental refreshes and all that stuff within kind of like a chained command. Before jumping into demo, let me show you how we kind of like take that from a development perspective, ending up in a production scenario. Typically, you work with your solutions and they're backed by Git. So you have all your semantic model metadata inside Git. So whenever you need to do changes, you branch out into a feature branch. That feature branch is isolated to that specific user request or business request that you're working on. Once the developer is done, the developer opens a pull request because he or she wants to have those changes or that specific feature merged into the main branch. This is where the first gate, so to speak, is put in. So this is where we do automated validation, or can do automated validation with the CLI, to make sure that nothing is moved into the main branch unless it complies with the best practice rules and so on and so forth that we've set up. So this is done by the BPA run command. I will just quickly show you a kind of like a setup example of that. I am in Azure DevOps. I have a repo. Inside that repo, I have two branches. I have my main branch when the page loads. I have my main branch. This is my stable branch. And then I have created a new semantic model for finance. And I would like that to be merged into main. So what I do is I create a new pull request. And then I just say create. Okay. Now, in order for changes to be merged in, I've set up a build validation. This will run a pipeline that will utilize the CLI and run a best practice analysis of my semantic model, making sure that nothing is moved into the stable code base without it complying to the rules that we have set up. By the way, this pipeline is running on an Linux or Ubuntu hosted agent. And as you can see, it prints out errors due to the fact that this specific semantic model that I created does not comply with the rules that have been set up. So in this case, it violates some is available in MDX property settings. So these needs to be set to false on hidden columns, which is a rule that is set up in the default rule set, BPA rules. Because of the fact that the pipeline failed, it is preventing us. So this is the first gate. It is preventing us from merging anything into main. This is one thing that you can use the CLI for. And again, you can use it on a Linux hosted agent. You can use it on a Mac OS, or you can use it on a Windows installation as well. Now, this was kind of like the first step. So let's play with the idea that things were okay. They are moved on. Next thing is I want to deploy to test. I want to get things, I out to my business users so they can test and sign off before promoting to production. This is where we use the TE deploy command. So this is where we deploy from a kind of like our code base. So this is where we deploy from our repo into a workspace. Once that is done, we would like to have another gate. And this is where we ensure, and this is where the regression test kicks in. This is where we ensure that we haven't done anything that messes up our measures or business logic, things breaking, and so on and so forth. So once we have deployed to test with the TE deploy command, we can run TE refresh to refresh our semantic model, do a refresh of single tables, do recalculate, whatever we want to do, incremental refresh as well. Once that is done, we can run the tests. The tests are based on a concept called test suites. So you can have multiple test suites. So you can have different tests for different semantic models, testing for row counts, measure values, so on and so forth. And you can also set in tolerances. So you might allow certain tolerance within those tests to apply. And if all tests passes, then we are actually good to go to production. If those tests fails, we of course need to go back into our feature, which has probably been closed by now, but kind of like kick off a new bug fix feature for fixing those errors that led to the test failing. Jumping back, I will show that specific one by going to repos again, branches, and then I will just kick off a new release. And this is a 0.1. In this case, I have a Azure DevOps pipeline that will run the build and release based on a trigger. So whenever I create a branch called releases/release something, that will trigger. So due to the fact that I created a new release branch, I will now start the deployment to test. Once the deployment to test is done, it will run the tests. Also refresh the model, of course, before running those tests. And if that fails, the whole step will fail and we cannot proceed. There is, of course, also a gate between those two stages. So if the tests are successful, there will be a human gate before we are able to deploy. So somebody needs to approve, typically a deployment manager. And just to finish it off, I will jump to GitHub, because it does not only work inside Azure DevOps. It of course also works in GitHub. And I already ran did some pre-baking here. So you see the same pull request that did not succeed in the build validation running on both a Mac OS, a Windows, and a Linux machine. You will also see the deployment running on a Linux, Windows, and Mac OS. And walking into one of those, you can see that it deploys to test. And you can also see that it deploys to a specific workspace, the target, blah, blah, blah. It then refreshes. Due to the fact that I didn't want it to take too long, I just did a refresh on a single table. So it refreshes a single table, in this case, the branch table. Once that is done, it runs the test suite. So I created a set of rules set of tests that needs to pass, customer count, and that there's exactly 6 regions, at least one product type, order tables has data, and so on and so forth. For example, the pass on customer count is an equal pass, so it needs to be exactly 3,911 customers on the customer count. And all of those passes, so it moves on to deploying the solution to production. And jumping back to Azure DevOps, you would actually see that the deployment went through its screen, 100% test passed, and now it's simply just waiting for me to review as a deployment manager and approve that, to then once again run the TE deploying it to production, preferably also kicking in a recalculate or a full process, depending on what is needed.
So Pierre, this is super awesome. But just so that people know, like we're going to also share this in our blog and articles, documenting some of these approaches and examples, so that you can
Definitely.
not just see them here, but also there.
Exactly. You're already jumping a little bit ahead, Kurt. So that there are of course multiple, as you said, Kurt, multiple commands that we didn't cover today because of time. But do go ahead, look at the docs, read the blog post introducing the new CLI. That will also contain samples as well. Sign up or create a Tabular Editor account if you don't have one already. That will enable you to download the Tabular Editor CLI. So the only thing you need is a Tabular Editor account. Also, we have the Tabular Editor CLI GitHub page, as you also navigated to, Kurt. On that page, you will find a skill. We will also upload or provide sample pipelines for GitHub as well as a DevOps. We will also write blog posts on that. If you find any issues, if you have suggestions, or simply just want to discuss the CLI with us and the community, just go into the GitHub page. There is a discussion forum, as well as you have the possibility to create issues if you bump into issues. And you might do that due to the fact that we are currently in what we call a limited public preview. And limited means that the CLI in its current state will have end of life end of September. So that also means, of course, due to the fact that it's public preview and is limited, we do not recommend that you use this in your production workflows. Also, if you use it on the production semantic models, make sure that they are backed by Git, and make sure that you don't touch anything directly in production with the CLI, due to the fact that it is in preview and that there might be things breaking. We think we have done a pretty good job in the initial preview release, but we also plan for additional releases before going into GA. We got a question once last week in regards to whether or not we would go into GA. Of course we will. So the Tabular Editor CLI will become general available. It will be around the time that, or at least we expect it to be around the time that the preview has end of life. Right now we are looking into the licensing model. That has not been finalized yet, so we are looking into either kind of like putting it into the existing licensing model. Maybe we will also provide a separate license for the CLI as well. That is something we are currently working on. What we're also working on is kind of like expanding those agent integrations. As Kurt said, we already provided the CLI that was announced earlier this week, was made available earlier this week, and was announced today. We will, of course, do bug fixes. There are already a few issues, few single issues on the GitHub page. So that is also why we plan for a couple of additional updates of the limited public preview, hardening it, making sure that we fix those bugs. And then again, as Kurt also mentioned, we will provide those CI/CD samples and guide going forward. But go ahead, read the blog posts, look at the docs. If you find anything at all, put it in GitHub issues, because if you help us, we will of course also help you making your semantic models faster and better. And also, we are available for you at community conferences after the summer break. So Power BI Next Step in Denmark, that is in September. We will be in Barcelona for FabCon, for the European FabCon. That is September and beginning of October, and then Data Minds Connect in Belgium as well. So meet us there. Come have a chat. Let's talk about the CLI. Give us your wish list, so to speak. And with that, we do have a few questions in the chat. We are running out of time, but I think we should cover a few of them. And I will simply just stop the screen sharing so that Kurt and I will be available. There we go. So one of the questions that popped up was in regards to CI/CD. So what is the recommendation on, that is Mika who wrote, what is the recommendation on CD and the Tabular Editor CLI versus the Fabric CI/CD for deployment? Is there a summary table on overlapping capabilities of what the Tabular Editor CLI brings to the table? Good question. I'm a huge fan of what Microsoft did on the Fabric CI/CD. If you are using the Fabric CI/CD for deployment, I will also use the Fabric CI/CD for deployment of your semantic models. There is no need to kind of like use two different approaches based on the item type that you use. But what the Fabric CI/CD Python library cannot do is run tests in regards to making sure that you comply with your best practice rules, also making sure that you run those tests as well. So I would mix them. And that, I think that's also an extremely important message in regards to the fact that the CLI is kind of like complementing other tools as well, like the Fabric CI/CD, like the Power BI MCP modeling server, like the Fabric CLI, like the Fabric MCP, and so on and so forth. So it's really important that kind of like you use the tools to which they are designed, and don't be afraid to mix and match those different ones. So in regards to that, if you're using the Fabric CI/CD Python library today to do your deployment, that is extremely powerful. I will do the deployment using the Fabric CI/CD library, but I will use the Tabular Editor CLI to run your best practice analysis, to run your regression test, and more. What else do we have? Gerard is writing, Kurt, that the Claude status bar is awesome. Can you please share it?
Yeah, it's already shared. So if you go to the Power BI agentic development repository, there's a folder called useful stuff, which is very professionally named. And I just throw in there anything that is like peripherally related to what I'm doing in Claude, and I never announce it. So if you just watch that folder, you'll see that there's a lot of useful stuff in there. So the status line script is in there as well. Cool. Just a heads up though, that I put zero effort into making sure that it works on Windows. So you'll have to tune it. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Then there was a question from Dania on if I use Claude in Power BI MCP server, should I ask Claude to use the CLI? I don't understand the value, the added value. So I think there's also a question on MCPs and CLIs and so on and so forth.
Sure.
And I don't. Do you want to take that, Kurt, or should I?
Yeah. So it's fairly straightforward, right? Like it's the same thing as like Tabular Editor and Power BI Desktop. Like you can use both. You can use one. Different tools for different things, right? Not everything is a nail that requires a hammer. So there are certain things that you can do in the CLI that you simply cannot do in the MCP server, and probably vice versa. But for example, how you can have the test suite so you can do automated testing, so you can just have a set of tests that are run, how you can have the Vertipack analyzer, how you can have the best practice analyzer rules. And basically what those do is, if you think about, again, Power BI and Tabular Editor provides a suite of pro developer tools to help you do more and better with your semantic models. And the CLI does the exact same thing for your agents. So both of these tools can fairly identically be able to manipulate and change the semantic model. But you don't just want to change the semantic model. You want good stuff in your semantic model, right? So you want to follow good practices. You want to have good DAX, and that's what the CLI is going to help you to do.
And I think also one important aspect of that is the fact that in a CI/CD pipeline, for example, there is no agent, so you cannot run your natively run your MCP or use your MCP in a CI/CD setup. So that is also where the CLI comes in handy. Let's say you are on an offline environment, the CLI can run on an offline environment. So on any machine, the CLI can run. It is not depending on an AI agent. And as you said, Kurt, the commands, and that you have consistent commands, whether or not you are running as a human, as an agent, or in CI/CD pipeline, the same command runs on the exact same way across all machines, across all audiences.
Like the
so reusability, so to speak, as well. Yeah.
Like the command to be able to rename reports after a model's renamed, you can just save that command as like a script, and then you can just give it to your agent, and whenever like set a rule so that whenever it renames something, that it executes that script, and you don't have to worry about that anymore.
No, exactly. Brian is asking, I believe that the most common pattern for using BPA through ADO pipelines involve loading the tabulator to 2 binaries. This is something that is blocked by my current organization. Does the example pipeline Peer shared have the same dependency? Or is he my new hero? I don't think I'm your new hero, Brian, with the response I'm giving you. Of course, you need to have the CLI executable at your hand. But there are different possibilities or different ways to have that. In the example I showed on GitHub, the CLI is compressed into a zip file located inside the repository, and then it is just immediately extracted, and it runs the commands against that one. So you need to have access to the CLI, of course. But in regards to maybe getting your organization to approve it, one thing we didn't mention is that the CLI is signed for Windows. It is also signed for Mac OS. And also for Mac OS, we have run it by the Apple Notary service. So it has been scanned for malware by Apple and passed back to us. This also means that when you run the CLI on a Mac OS, you won't get any security pop-ups or alerts where you need to approve the executable. It is approved by default by Apple through the signing and the notary service, as well as on Windows. And of course, when we go into GA, we will of course also provide full support as well as have a penetration test for the CLI going forward. And with that, I think we're way past time anyway, and we could probably continue, Kurt, on this one for hours, talking about different scenarios. But I think with respect for time, let's leave it, and then give us feedback on the GitHub page. Share your thoughts, your ideas. If you see anything that you don't like, let us know. If you see something you like, also let us know, so that we can enable you to build your semantic models even better and faster. So I think that's the final word, right? So thank you for watching, and sorry for taking your time, or extending the webinar a little bit longer than initially intended. We hope you enjoyed watching. So see you next time.